All right then, it's July 1st and it's a rainy season right now. But this is what I've been getting out of the garden, and you can see we got heaps of lettuce right now. And then these are the radish peas. I don't know if you're familiar with radish peas. They're just like a radish, but they make a pea. And I'm down to just a couple plants this year because they produce, that's just like one plant there, and they produce a lot of peas, more radishes than you can eat. And then it's garlic scape time, getting a few garlic scapes in. And then daylily bulbs and flowers coming in, gonna batter those up and fry them. And of course arugula. So that's what's happening in the greens department. The garden space is looking nice. All the sedums are flowering right now. Yeah. Rose campions are looking pretty nice. Okay, another day in the garden. This is July 3rd, and it's bok choy harvest day. You can see I've already got a little bit harvested here. This is about the condition the bok choy's gotten to now. It's July 3rd, and this has been a little over a month, around a month that the bok choy and lettuce have been in here. So we've got different different growth rates. This is the second round. You can still see the lettuce is starting to bolt back there. I'll probably leave a few of those for seed. You see here the turkey tail is coming into its own now. Middle of summer, it's showing the new white growth rings around the outside. Some of that may be ready to harvest here. Here we see the rye doing its job of shading the cauliflower a little bit during the hot times here. We often bend these over when they start getting in the way. These guys will still provide plenty of shade. They won't be quite as all in your face. Peas are coming on magnificently. It's going to be time to do some pea picking here before too long. So another thing to do with your rye, after you bent it over, you see it provides a place for the squash to grow up on. You'll see later in the year it's going to climb up on that, maybe over to these sunflowers that are coming up, stuff like that. Squash. Okay. And so here's the rye coming into play again, because we're using it here for a mulch.
Okay.
Right on the this is around the tobacco and squash that we're growing here. And we got some summer squash coming on. But again, that's just a.
Why do you want?
I want to keep the tomatoes in the shade in the morning. The ones over here are in the shade from this roof in the morning. But you want to let the tomatoes have shade so they don't get direct sunlight on their leaves while they're still frosted. Okay, we get some close to frost type conditions here. So if you've got the sun's up and you've got shade for a little while and they can sort of thaw out, then there's not a problem. But if the sunlight hits them when they've got the ice on them, then that is really bad.
So what are these?
These are pyrethrum. This is what they call the Robinson's mix, and this is I'm going to be harvesting the seeds off of these. Pyrethrum is really, besides making it beautiful, like a painted daisy, you can see these had a purple and these had a pinkish petal on them. These are also really, pyrethrum is the same stuff that uses tick repellent, right? Pyrethrum is really a nice little plant, a garden companion plant that discourages a lot of insects. So I have one here, I have one over in that corner, I have one over there. So I have, a couple of pyrethrum strategically put around the garden.
Okay.
There's one here. See, I've already harvested these because they can't. This one comes out first because it's by the gravel. It heats up faster. So this has been further along. But you can take, they take a relative of this and they make pyrethrum oil out of it, and you soak your clothes in that, and that'll keep the insects off you.
Cool.
It's a cool plant, and it's a perennial. Once you get it started, it keeps coming back. Yeah, this is feverfew, and you can smell this. That's really got the aroma to it. And this is used as a anti-migraine, and people use it for aromatherapy as well. And it's that powerful scent that it has. It's like very strong, I guess you'd say chrysanthemum-like smell. And again, I put this next to the tomatoes. And you see the tomatoes that don't have the feverfew nearby got a lot more leaf damage from the little hoppers and little things that eat holes in the leaves, whereas these guys over here that were by the feverfew didn't see that so much. So that's the kind of thing that feverfew does, is it keeps a lot of little leaf hopper types of bugs off of things like tomatoes, or here we got bok choy. We picked all the bok choy here. People from before remember that there used to be, this whole thing used to be surrounding the tomato plants was bok choy. The bok choy is out, and look, the beans are coming up already, see? So the beans are replacing the bok choy seasonally. And then of course there's a few weeds and other things in there still. So how about the carrot story? I got things in early this year, and the carrots need to be in early, so I put the carrots all in here. But unfortunately, there was a cat that came over and scratched up to dig shit. It really pissed me off. So dug out all the central rows right in here, dug out the whole row just for flinging poop. And then I let the other stuff come in. I put in tobacco plants there, and I let this the milk thistle come in, which was coming in from last year. And this is a good medicinal plant that I always grow. You have to be very careful with this because, of course, it's a thistle. It makes 1 million seeds, and you want to get them before they get out into nature. They don't do too well in Montana without irrigation, so that's one good. You can see I can use the leaves again as mulch in between the carrots, to keep the other plants down. You see there. They kind of shade things out, so I've kind of strategically left them to sit there, and the carrots are coming up here pretty well. But yeah, that was a tragedy there, so I've had to let other stuff grow in here. We got a few poppies. The poppies just come back every year. Look, some nice variegated ones. It's crazy the different varieties that you can see. And I just pull those up after they've done flowering. And by then the carrots are starting to get big and they can appreciate that. But now, when it's really hot, long days, early July, mid-July, it gives the carrots some shade again, and everybody, doesn't wilt at 3 o'clock. Cabbages, we're hoping they're gonna pull through. And this lettuce is about ready to go, right? I'm gonna give this lettuce 1 or 2 more days probably, and probably just harvest all this. And every place I take out lettuce, see, I'm putting in beans. And the beans are coming up, so when this lettuce will come out tomorrow or whatever, and I'll plant beans all the way through this area again. And we'll get a crop of beans out of this. So that'll be 3 things that we get out of that particular, little patch there. We'll have oric, we'll have mustard, we'll have lettuce. We'll have, in this case, beans and bok choy. So yeah, we got all kinds of stuff out of that little patch. A little follow-up on July 15th here. You see the peas are fading pretty fast. I've picked most of them. I'm leaving a few for seed. But remember that strip there? That strip right along there that used to be filled with Johnny Jump Ups? Well, I pulled them up, and they're now seeing their new life as mulch. Yeah, a lot of old plants end up as mulch. It's a good place to go. Everything makes good mulch, they say. And then in that area that I've just dug up, I've put in, as you can see, more of the radish pea. Okay, so as the peas die off in the next week or so, those radish peas will sprout up, and when we pull up these plants, then we'll be able to harvest a bunch of radish peas pretty soon after that. Buds, we've been picking a lot of these bad boys lately, but maybe only a couple more days here. After they've made a nice flower, then I take off the remaining bud and use it as everything from a salad green to a, omelet ingredient, etc. It's a nice kind of little peppery, pleasant flavor. And then you can see the beans are coming up next to the tobacco here. And this all turned out to be native. This is all Hopi Pueblo tobacco here. And in the compost pile, the potatoes seem to be very happy right now.
How'd you find out it was Hopi tobacco?
I got it from a seed.
Oh, okay.
Seed source.
Yeah.
Yep. And as you can see, this is a good thing to see. The Scotch harebell is really out in force right now, and this is a great attraction for pollinators. You see all the bees are loving it, and it's kind of weedy, but it does have a root in the fall that you can root in the fall that is about as big as your finger, and you may have like several of them together, so you get a substantial amount of root, that you can make pickles or something out of. Hey, I welcome recipes if you can make it more palatable. I know that it's famous in the Far East, but I haven't
how's it
stumbled on a
prepared?
good recipe yet.
How do people prepare it?
They pickle it like
Yeah.
a sake pickle,
Okay.
something like that. But that's what I've had in the Orient that was nice, and I have tried to duplicate that and failed. So, failed badly enough that I'm not afraid to admit it, So the milk thistle is a really good medicinal herb, and the valuable part is in the seed head. So when it's flowering like this, I'm not gonna harvest it. I'm gonna leave that until it matures. But once the flower has faded to like this, then it's ready to harvest. And I do it this way. Don't even need gloves. I'm not even gonna touch them, So they don't see this coming. That's pretty slick way to do it. And once they're in the paper bag, then they dry. I put them on a screen. They continue to dry out. Once they start to puff up, then I fold up the bag and just shake it. And maybe after a month, rip off a little corner of the bag, and you can shake all the seeds out because they'll have all exploded into little parachutes, and they've fallen down and broken apart, and the seeds are rumbling around the bottom of the bag.
Cool.
So yeah, that's an easy way to do that. And it's a really good medicine. They use it as a prophylaxis for mushroom poisoning in Europe.
Do you tincture it, make a tea? What's the...
That's what's done in Europe. Here, that's not a legal thing. It's not FDA approved. So I just keep a supply of seeds around, and the seeds are just fine. You can eat them, just put them in your grill in the morning or something like that, And the other thing is, you can make an alcohol extract, so it's injectable, but that's for medical professionals and stuff like that. The way you can use it easiest enough is just to eat the seeds.
Okay.
Right now I'm addressing irrigation shadows, and here's a really good example of something that I have to correct. This guy's obviously not getting the water. There's a darn sprinkler right there. What's up? Well, it's this guy here, of course. So I have to address this. I tied him up a little bit. Now I'll just lay him right on over. That's okay.
What is that?
This is Mexican tarragon. It's pretty dedicated plant. It's a pretty aggressive plant, so I'm not worried about it. But I am worried about it blocking the water for all these guys. So I can just tie this